We are all from different cultures and families, so we all celebrate different holidays. Today, we'll talk about 3 holidays that are being celebrated today and tomorrow.
When I have a worry-filled mind, I like to wander outside. No telling what we might find. Birds calling, worms crawling, leaves falling down from above. Oh, I plant my feet on the ground. I keep my head in the clouds. I let my feelings out loud. I hear joy calling, fear crawling, tears falling down out of love.
Welcome, friends. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Mrs. A, if you don't already know, and I'm really glad that you're spending some time with me. The first thing we're going to do is check in with our feelings. It's important as humans to take some time to notice how our brains and body are feeling and to name that feeling or feelings. And so I have an emotions chart or poster that you can download whenever you become a patron, or I have our zones of regulations that you can look at here. These 4 simple color zones can be used to help us understand and communicate how we're feeling. Let me tell you a little bit more about them. The blue zone means you are moving slowly. Maybe you're feeling tired, maybe a little sad or depressed. The green zone means you are feeling comfortable. Your body is feeling calm or settled. You're feeling peaceful. The yellow zone means that you are starting to lose control of your body. Maybe it's feeling a little bit anxious, worried, or jittery. Maybe it's feeling really confused or frustrated or distracted. And the red zone means that you are out of control of your body. Things around you are feeling really overwhelming. Your thoughts are jumbled. Your body might not feel in control. Your voice may be loud. You may be making big body movements. And it's important to remember that there are no good or bad zones. We can experience all these different emotions and feelings throughout a day. And while there are no good or bad zones or good or bad feelings, it's helpful for us to understand them, to share them, and to learn about them. Learn about what makes us feel in the red zone, or learn about what puts us in the blue zone. And so when we think about our feelings and name our feelings and share or talk about our feelings, we actually build those muscles in our brains to help us do that more easily and more readily each time. So, when you think about those color zones I just shared, and go ahead and find an object or point to something that matches the color zone you're in right now. Are you in the blue zone, the green zone, the yellow zone, or the red zone? Let's see. Did you figure out your color zone? Go ahead and take another minute if you need it. I'm going to point to these green letters here. I am feeling really peaceful, really settled, really comfortable. I'm feeling awake, and so right now I'm in the green zone. What color zone are you in? Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks for grabbing that object or pointing to that color. Like I said, not only does that help you get practice and build those muscles in your brain, but it helps the people around you to know. For example, if I was feeling in the red zone and out of control, it'd be really helpful for my family to know maybe I need some space or maybe I need some help. And so thanks for practicing that with me today. Another thing we're going to practice together is exercising or moving our bodies. And the reason it's important for us to practice this is for a few reasons. 1, it can help build our muscles and help us get strong. 2, it can help remind us of the date and help us keep track of time, practice some math and counting. And 3, and I think most importantly, it can be used as a tool or a strategy if we are feeling stuck in a certain zone and we'd like to change zones, or if we are feeling some feelings and we would like to be able to manage them or make sense of them. And so exercise is a great way for us to clear our minds, to feel a bit more settled and move toward the green zone, or even work through some big feelings or emotions we may be having. And so we're going to exercise to the date. Now, you might be watching this video on a different day than when I am sharing it, and that's okay. You can always change the number to match your date. But to help us get started, the date for me is 3/16/22. And so we'll do 3 exercises, then 16, and 22. And Vig is here to tell us one of the moves we'll be doing in a little bit. Vig always shows us one of the moves. It looks like for this one, they're using all the parts of their body. Maybe you have some guesses. Maybe you're not sure yet. You can make some observations, see what you notice. You can try this shape with your body right now and see if you know what they might be doing. But while you friends are trying to figure that out and use your critical thinking, we'll start with 3 moves. And the 3 moves I'd like us to start with are jumping jacks. Jumping jacks are a great way for us to use all of the muscles in our body and raise our heart rate, which is a healthy way to build our heart muscles. So all you need to do is stand up if you're able and get started, making sure you have enough space for your jumping jack. We'll count by ones all the way up to 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice work. Now we need Fig's move. Fig, what are you showing? Oh, marches. Awesome. Fig, are you showing us marches because there are so many holidays? Yeah, sometimes the holidays that we talk about have parades and people march through their neighborhoods. And so we are going to do 16 marches today. Thanks, Fig. Again, we need to stand up if we're able, and we'll use a lot of the muscles in our body to march. See if you can pick up your legs nice and high as you march with me. The only thing we're going to do differently is that we will count by 2s because 16 is an even number. Ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Thanks, Fig, and thanks, friends. We have one final exercise to try, and that is 22 squats. Squats are a little bit tricky after a while because they use our leg muscles. And so we've been doing some exercises that have already used our leg muscles, jumping jacks and marches. And so you may need to do your squats a little bit slower or a little bit faster. Maybe I'm going too slow for you. That's okay. You can stand up and get ready to squat. And again, we will count by 2s. Ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, almost there, 18, 20, 22. Amazing job. Now, before we finish, all we have to do is cool down. We have got our heart rate up and beating fast. Our body may feel warm. We may feel really energized. And so when we take 3 cool down breaths, it helps us reset and refocus. All you have to do is listen for my bell. And when you hear it, fill your belly big, slowly let the air out. Wonderful work. Thanks for moving your body with me. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we have a lot of celebrations to discuss, and so I don't want us to waste any time. Let's get straight to my message. We'll hear about some holidays that are being celebrated, and we'll also see some alliterations. Go ahead and keep your eyes peeled for those. If you're not sure what an alliteration is, that's okay. You can always check out some of my previous videos where I describe it a little bit more. You can also hit that red subscribe button while you're there so you can get a little alert or reminder anytime I share a new video or lesson. Dear fabulous friends, although it is still Women's History Month, today is also a day that many friends will be celebrating for many different reasons. We have the Jewish holiday of Purim, the Irish holiday called St. Patrick's Day, and the Hindu holiday known as Holi, or the Festival of Colors. There are so many terrific traditions and creative celebrations happening around these holidays, so let's learn a bit more about them. Love, Mrs. A. Have you ever heard of any of those holidays before? Purim, St. Patrick's Day, and Holi? Well, that's okay if you haven't either. We're going to look at some books that tell us more about them. And I'm really excited for these books because they're all really different. This first one is all about Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, and it's by Tommy de Paula. And this book was written and printed quite a number of years ago. Your parents might have even had this book when they were kids. And this tells us the history of St. Patrick and how he came to be so honored by Irish people, people from Ireland, and people who live around the world who are Irish. And so St. Patrick has a very interesting life story that we actually won't hear a ton of. We'll just hear a little bit toward the end. But I definitely recommend you grab this book if you're curious to learn more about his life specifically. Shortly after the ship landed in Ireland, Patrick met a chieftain who was a good and kind man. The chieftain's name was Dichu, and he listened to Patrick talk of his love of God. He believed everything that Patrick told him and asked Patrick to baptize him into the new faith. Dichu gave Patrick the barn that became the first church of Ireland. And so one of the reasons that St. Patrick, or Patrick, was so significant is that he started one of the first churches in Ireland. Now, as I said, we're skipping around a little bit, but in between we hear of some big obstacles and dangerous situations that Patrick experienced. But we'll pick up here where it says, Patrick faced many other dangers too. In fact, he came close to losing his life 12 times. But that didn't stop him. Through the years, he traveled many, many miles and baptized thousands of people. And so despite the dangers that he faced and the scary situations that happened to him and around him, he still went around. He still traveled and baptized many people in the name of God to share his religion and share the good news. On March 17th, 461, Patrick died. Patrick's love of God had been so great that shortly after his death, churches were built all over the land, and Patrick was made a saint. Young men and women became monks and priests and nuns. They served the people of Ireland in the churches, monasteries, and schools. They traveled to other lands, preaching the love of God just as Patrick had done when he came to the Emerald Isle. And even to this day, the Irish love their patron saint, Patrick. And maybe you notice, it says March 17th, and St. Patrick's Day is celebrated every year on March 17th. And it is to honor St. Patrick and remember all of the kind things that he did and all of the love that he spread around Ireland and the world. And what's interesting about St. Patrick's Day is that there are many myths or legends. People have made up many stories and tales about why St. Patrick's Day exists. And one of the fun things about this book is there are many of those legends and stories written down here. I'll share just one with you, but when you grab your own copy from the library or your bookstore, you'll get to hear all the different versions. There are many legends about St. Patrick. Here are a few, or just one. St. Patrick and the snakes. Some people say there are no snakes in Ireland because St. Patrick drove them out, just as he had driven out sin. Patrick got rid of the snakes by beating a drum hard and fast. The snakes couldn't stand the noise, so they slithered into the sea. Like I said, this story is made up. It's not true, it's a legend, but it is a fun story to think about. And there are many more legends and myths about St. Patrick in the rest of this book, so be sure to grab your own copy and check them out. Now, I just love this next book so much because it is so bright and cheerful and colorful, which makes sense because it is called Festival of Colors. And it is written by Kabir Segal and Sharistha Segal, with illustrations by Vashti Harrison. And what's cool about this is that the authors are actually a mother and son pair. So a mom and a son worked together to create this book. And we're going to read just a few pages, but you'll notice how beautiful and bright and cheerful these illustrations are as we go. They gather irises because irises make blue. They lay the flowers out to dry. They separate the petals, and then they press the petals into fine powders. Do you see all of those different plates of beautiful, colorful powders? All made from different flower petals dried out. How cool is that? At last, the petal powders are ready. Chintu and Mintu are ready too. I like how carefully they are carrying those plates of powders. And I want you to look carefully at this cover for a second before I share one more thing. What do you think they're going to do with all of those powders? Any guesses? Yeah, they're going to throw them into the air and decorate their friends and family with them. And Holi is a really beautiful holiday that is so colorful, and that's why it's called the Festival of Colors. But it's also a big celebration. And I want to read to you the back of this book that tells us a little bit more. A note from the authors. Holi is the Indian festival of colors, celebrated during spring when new colors appear in nature. It symbolizes inclusiveness, new beginnings, and the triumph of good over evil. The festivities begin with an evening bonfire. The next morning, family, friends, and neighbors throw dry and wet-colored powders on each other. People chant, "Holi hey!" which is pronounced "Holy hey!" and means it's holy. Traditionally, the powders were made at home using flowers. Families and friends gathered, dried, and ground the petals into fine powders, which were mixed with water to make bright colors. Now, most people buy pre-made powders from the local bazaar or even online. There is plenty of singing, dancing, and feasting during the festivities. And with everyone covered in vibrant colors, there's a tremendous feeling of community. Doesn't that just sound like one of the most beautiful ways to celebrate a holiday? I really love this book. And I think even if you don't celebrate Holi, it's really nice to learn about other holidays that maybe your neighbors celebrate, or maybe your friends celebrate, or your teachers, or someone else in your family. And so I love learning about holidays that I have not celebrated before, but are really important to other people. This is another one of those. This book is about the Jewish holiday called Purim. I am not Jewish and I do not celebrate Purim, but I do know a little bit about this queen, the queen who saved her people, Queen Esther. And for Women's History Month, and because Purim is being celebrated right now, I am really eager to share this book with you so we can learn a bit more about the holiday and learn a bit more about this brave Queen Esther. The Queen Who Saved Her People, by Tilda Basley, illustrated by Eileen Richard. Beside the palace lived a Jew. This Mordecai was strong and true. His cousin Esther lived there too. The king's men saw her, all agreed. He'd like this lady, guaranteed. Her cousin hugged and kissed her twice and whispered quickly this advice: "No one knows that you're a Jew. That secret must be kept with you." Why do you think Mordecai told his cousin Esther to keep that a secret, that she was Jewish? Do you have any guesses? Yeah. Where they were living, people were not kind to Jews or Jewish people. And so it was not really safe to say, "I'm Jewish." They feared for their life and their safety. And so Mordecai said, "Keep it a secret. They might not welcome you to meet the king if they know you're Jewish." It makes me feel really sad. But Esther was so brave. She went with the king's men. And like I said, she ended up saving her people. Now, we are skipping a big part of this story. But if you grab this book from the library or the bookstore link that I have in the description, you'll learn all about the situations that occurred before Esther came to the rescue. Her cousin said, "This place, this hour, may be why God gave you this power." Esther was convinced at last. "Tell all the Jews to pray and fast, and after 3 whole days have passed, I'll do the thing that you have asked." So it's a little mysterious because we've skipped some pages. We don't know exactly what Queen Esther is going to do, but Mordecai was really hoping that she could help, and she has decided to do it. Meanwhile, Esther cooked for 3. The dinner party seemed carefree, but the brave queen snuggled near and whispered in her husband's ear, "My people live in deathly fear, and only you can help, it's clear." "What, my Esther? Tell me who has dared to threaten all of you?" "He's with us now, he's drinking wine. He is no friend of yours or mine." The king saw Haman's guilty look and shouted, "You'll get yours, crook!" So Haman swung on gallows high, those built to hang poor Mordecai. And so do you remember when I said that it wasn't safe or really welcoming for Jewish people? Yeah. Haman was here at this dinner with them. And Esther said, "He's one of the reasons that we are living in fear." And so the king said, "Oh, no, I will take care of this," and put an end to him. Now the tables have been turned. Jews enjoyed peace, hard earned, for following the king's command. No enemy was left to stand. And Mordecai, the king's right hand, sent this message through the land. "Let every generation read how on these days the Jews were freed. Through Esther's brave and selfless deed, let there be time for joy and laughter at Purim now and ever after." And so Purim is a time of celebration to remember Queen Esther and share some special treats together and thank her and Jewish ancestors for their freedom and safety. And so this book, The Queen Who Saved Her People, is a really great read, as I'm sure you could tell. It's filled with information, and it's also really fun to listen to or read on your own with all of those great rhymes. So be sure to check it out. Now, since we are celebrating all of the holidays today, I thought our mindful moment could be all of the sounds. Oftentimes when we celebrate or have festivals or parades, there are lots of noises and sounds. And even if you're not celebrating anything today or these next few days, I want you to just listen to all the sounds around you right now. All you have to do is close your eyes or lower your head, whatever's comfortable, and then just listen. Listen for all the sounds you can hear. Maybe try to figure out how many different sounds there are. Let's listen for 1 minute. Did you hear anything? Maybe there were lots of sounds around you. Maybe there weren't very many sounds. Did you notice some really loud sounds or some really quiet or soft sounds? What did you notice in your body? How did listening carefully to those sounds make you feel? Curious, calm, distracted. Yeah. Maybe you noticed something different. Thank you for taking the time to listen and to notice how your body reacted. Friends, I also want to thank you for taking the time to visit with me today and learn about these holidays and books and talk about our message and move our bodies to the date. I hope you make it a wonderful rest of the day and week, and I can't wait to see you next time.